Hey everybody, welcome to our very first ever screencast for our daily geography. And I want to do these screencasts on occasion to kind of give you a preview of our upcoming daily geography. This one is North America, and kind of give you a heads up before we get into the week and get you familiar with the map and hopefully improve your understanding as we use the map for the week. I also want you to use it as maybe kind of a catch up. Maybe you're struggling a little bit with the warm ups. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes really isn't enough time for you to understand it. We go through it pretty quickly in the warm up time. So, this gives you an opportunity to go home at night and to watch it, and you can pause it and you can rewind it and you can play it again and the second time if you need to really kind of build your skill set with maps, and hopefully as your skill set builds, your grades will improve, and that's kind of the goal, is just to improve our skill set. So let's get after it here. And the first thing I want to point out is that we've got a title. And of course, I always want you to look at the title first before you do anything else, because that gives us a great deal of information about what we're going to be looking at on a map. Today's map, Picturing North America, it's at the title, it's at the top, so we understand now that we're going to be focused on North America. If we drop down, we see a couple other items that will help us. We have a compass rose, but we also have an inset map. And an inset map is probably the second most important thing to look at before we get too far into it. You can see right here in this darkened area that we have North America kind of highlighted. It shows up a little bit kind of black or gray to you, but that's the area that we're going to be focusing on. And then the lighter areas surrounding it are kind of exactly that, what's surrounding it. And it gives us an idea of where North America sits in relation to the other continents. So we have a good snapshot of where we're at. After you've taken a look at the title and at the inset map, we can get into the actual map. And if we look here, we've got three large countries. We have the United States in the middle. North of the United States, we have Canada. South of the United States, we have Mexico. And that kind of makes up the bulk of North America in terms of landmass. If we do go up a little bit further, this gets mentioned quite a bit in class. We do have another large landmass called Greenland. The landmass itself will be part of North America, so do include that in our discussions about North America. But the country that controls it or kind of owns it is actually over in Europe, and it's Denmark. But the landmass for us will be included in our mapping of North America. If we move a little bit further west, still kind of in the northern part of this map, we see Alaska, and we know that Alaska is part of the United States, but we also know that Alaska is not part of the contiguous United States or the connected United States. And sometimes you'll hear people call it the continental United States, but those are the 48 states, the contiguous United States. It does not include Alaska, it does not include Hawaii if we're talking about the contiguous United States. Moving further south, even further south than Mexico, we have an area right here, or a region, we'll use that word, to describe Central America. And Central America has 7 countries in it. Often I get the question when we're first learning this, or at least I get it from some students who think that Central America is a country itself. And it's not. It's actually a region. And here we've got Belize. That's one of the countries of Central America. We have Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And those 7 countries make up the region of Central America. So know it's a region and know that there are countries within that region. Moving up to the north just a little bit, we see the Caribbean islands, and they're kind of in this area. Now we're going to break this into 2 groups. The first group is going to contain the large islands. So there's 4 large islands. We've got Cuba, we've got Jamaica, we've got Hispaniola, and we've got Puerto Rico. And they're labeled here with the exception of Hispaniola. Hispaniola actually has 2 countries on it, and the countries are labeled, not the islands. So this is an important distinction. If we're talking simply the islands, we need to talk Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico. If we're talking countries, then of course, Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico. We have to distinguish whether or not we're talking about the island or whether or not we're talking about the countries, and that's important to remember. A little side note here, Puerto Rico, part of the United States. Actually, it's not a state of the United States. It's a Commonwealth of the United States, but they are American citizens, folks who live there, and they do have some of the same rights that the United States citizens do because they are United States citizens. So we'll get into that a little bit more as we study the Caribbean. Moving over just a little bit to the east here, we have some smaller islands of the Caribbean, and we're going to call them the Lesser Antilles. So it makes sense that the four big islands are the Greater Antilles, and then the smaller islands are the Lesser Antilles. So that kind of gives you an idea of the map itself. But we're not done, and I think that's a mistake that some folks are making, is that they only look at the map and they think that all of the answers are going to be provided from the map, and that's not always true. Let me give you a couple examples. One, this is a political map, so it does show the boundaries. We can see boundaries and we can see borders and those types of things, but it doesn't break it down very specifically. Take the United States, for example. It doesn't show states. It doesn't show the borders of the states or the boundaries for the states. So if there's a question this week that asks about boundaries or borders, you're not going to be able to actually use this map. You're going to have to use another resource, and you might go back to a week one map, or you might go over to your textbook and grab a textbook or something else. So don't just stare at this and go, it doesn't show, I don't know the answer. You're probably going to have to use another resource for some of this. Just know that going in. Second thing I want to mention is if you look down at the bottom, we've got text at the bottom, and I think too often we're forgetting that the text for the map or the information for the map can also provide great information about what's going on. And in fact, several of our questions over the last few weeks have come from the text and not the actual map. So while the squared in map part is super important, of course, down here at the bottom, the text is very important too. So don't forget to look there and take the time to kind of just see what's there, because you're probably going to get some answers there. Anyway, I think that kind of covers what we've wanted to cover. I hope that this is helpful to you. I'm going to post it to Edmodo. You're probably watching it there. Just give me a comment, a little snippet of information. This is going to be helpful, it's not, or whatever. I want to make sure that I'm helping you, and this is one of the ideas that I have going forward. So just give me some feedback, and I hope you're having a great day. Thank you.